Hello everyone. Today we are going to study NCERT Business Studies Class 12, Chapter number 8, Controlling. Now in this chapter we are going to understand whether controlling is the first function of an organization, of the management, or is it the last function of the management, or is it somewhere in between. Because as you know, whenever we we talk about management functions, we know that it is a process. So as such, there is no beginning, there is no end. It is in the form of a process where the ending leads to the beginning and the beginning leads to the end. And that is what we're going to discuss in this chapter of controlling. Let us look at the meaning of controlling. If we had to talk about controlling, it is that function of management which ensures that the activities in an organization are performed as per plans. It is a goal-oriented function, and it finds out how far the actual performance deviates from the standards. It analyzes the cause of these deviations and it takes corrective actions. It completes one cycle of management process and improves planning in the next cycle. So basically what we are trying to understand in this through this chapter is that through controlling, we are trying to identify how different the actual actions are from the plans that were established at the time of planning. Let us try to understand the importance of controlling and why controlling has been established as the function of management in the first place. Firstly, it helps to accomplish organizational goals. Now, it is only through the process of controlling that we are able to check whether whatever the standards that have been established, whatever the plans, whatever the objectives, whatever the blueprint that has been created for all the actions to take place in an organization, whether we are going towards that achieving that particular goal or objective. And so that is why it is very important to have this function in any management setup. Next, it judges the accuracy of standards. Now, this is again very important because many a times now when we talked about planning also, when we developed the types of plans and we talked about be it a budget, be it a plan, be it an objective, be it an aim, you talked about all those different kinds of plans, but at that particular time, you would remember that we discussed that it's a mental activity. So basically, there is nothing on paper. We are just assuming. It's based on presumption, it is based on assumption, and it is also based on all the other all the interpretation of the impact of business environment that a business might undergo. So it is not actually, it is not very accurate, or it may or may not be accurate. Now that depends on how closely and how much of effort has been put into establishing all these plans, or what we call as the standards. Now through controlling, we can judge how accurate these standards are, and we can verify the accuracy of the standards. We check also with respect to the changes in the environment, and we can subsequently review and revise the standards. The next importance of controlling is making efficient use of resources, and that is, I think, primarily all that is one of the objectives of all the functions of management. If you look at efficient use of resources is something which we have been talking about ever since we started talking about management or the beginning of business as such. Whenever an activity is performed in accordance with the predetermined standards, because when we are actually setting up some kind of standards, we would have thought of, or we would have some kind of strategic planning would have been made with respect to the kind of resources that would be required in order to accomplish that particular activity. So with proper controlling, we can make sure, and with all the techniques of controlling, we can make sure that whatever resources that we thought would go into the performance of that particular action would definitely we restrict and we don't go overboard, or of course we do not have to compromise also with the usage of resources, because it has to be just enough so that whatever the output is as per the desire, or whatever the the management actually would have thought of. And it also ensures effective and efficient use of resources, which is again, when we talk about either it is in terms of cost or in terms of time, we have to ensure that all the activities are accomplished keeping in mind the efficiency and effectiveness within the proper stipulated time, and also cost efficiency through the process of controlling. The next point is improving employee motivation. Now, once we have standards established in any organization, what basically we are giving to all the employees is a set of whatever the targets that are there, which have to be achievable or which are doable as per the management and whatever the calculation has been done. So now when an employee knows what he is expected to do and how he is expected to do, so he knows that standard of performance, and to reach that particular target he constantly motivates himself, or of course you have other motivational techniques also, but the idea is you know where the end point is for all the activities. If I'm the employee of an organization, I know where exactly I need to go, what is expected out of me, and this happens only through the techniques of controlling. And because controlling somewhere, it ensures that I'm not deviating. It's like a check which will not allow me to deviate from the path which is actually allowing me to go towards the end result, or my end, the journey itself should be complete, and I do not deviate from where I need to go in order to achieve the organizational goals and objectives. The next thing is ensuring order and discipline. Now with the controlling techniques, there are so many controlling techniques which we are going to discuss later. Simple techniques. Whenever a superior is there trying to check whether the subordinate is performing the task as per the requirement, so somewhere any kind of dishonest behavior can be curtailed. Now this is again very easy. It does not have to be, everything does not have to be with respect to punishment. There's something, it's as you people will be taking examination, you have an invigilator. The invigilator is just to check that whatever the proceedings are there in an examination hall are as per the standards that has been set up with respect to that particular examination. And that is what controlling or the techniques of controlling do, that they keep a check and ensure that there is order and discipline within the organization. And lastly, it facilitates coordination in action. Of course, when you are having controlling techniques in all the efforts that are being put within an organization, so with these techniques you ensure that when you keep in mind that there is a proper utilization of the resources, you know that everybody has to move in a guided and a directed way towards achievement of the goals, and try to be as close to the standards that have been previously set up, then automatically the overall action that comes out will be a coordinated effort of all the employees of all the departments, and of course all the functional units of an organization. The function of controlling also brings with it certain limitations that has been previously established in any kind of business environment. Firstly, it is very difficult to set quantitative standards. You can have quantitative standards wherever there is numerical involvement, but what about certain aspects of the business or certain aspects of the management which involves human mind or human behavior, and especially when we say that an organization is basically filled up with human beings, it is employees, it is be it your consumers, be it all your all your stakeholders that are there. All these people are human beings at the end of the day. How one person is going to behave is definitely not going to be anywhere similar to how another person might behave, even though the circumstances might be the same. And this is what creates a huge restriction in order to find proper controlling aspects for certain aspects, which includes human behavior or employee morale or job satisfaction and all these things. There is this particular limitation that controlling cannot be, that standard itself cannot be set up in this case. Then little control on external factors. Sometimes there are so many things that are happening. I think we can talk about 2020 as the pandemic year which we all have been going through. Nobody ever presumed that. I don't really think no business was prepared for this kind of an effect they will be bearing in the year 2020, and that is what no matter how much of planning one would have done, no matter how many techniques of controlling one would have devised, but at the same time there are certain things which are just beyond the control of management, and that is how you have to make peace with it, and of course you have to adjust and accommodate and adapt and adopt yourself in order to become a successful business unit. Resistance from employees is often felt, again another important limitation, another key limitation of controlling, because many a times it so happens that if the subordinate feels that constantly he has to be supervised, or he is constantly being looked upon by the superior, he does not have freedom to perform, then there is certain amount of resistance that will develop inside him. And many times it so happens the superior, they are constantly seeing. Now simple techniques, you might have some kind of a camera that is there focused on whether the employees are taking performing their actions or not. Simple techniques also might create some kind of resistance, because they feel that why is there a necessity. It makes them feel that they are questioning the capacity of the performance, and that is again another limitation. And finally, it's a costly affair. Nonetheless, to install all these controlling techniques that we talk about, it is very it's not an easy affair, because it adds on to the overall cost of the management. Even though it adds on to the cost of the management, nonetheless it is important, especially when you have huge setup where there are many employees, and the management has to focus upon different areas or different functions. And this, even though it's a necessity, but nonetheless it does add on to the cost of the organization. Let us now look at the relationship between planning and controlling. Both planning and controlling are inseparable twins of management. The basis of controlling are the standards that are set up, and these standards are set up at the time of planning. Now, when the plan becomes operational, then at that particular time, once of course the other functions of management come into process, then controlling measures the deviations. It will take the corrective actions, and then further it will ensure that the events will conform with the plans. Planning seeks consistent, integrated and articulated programs, whereas controlling seeks to ensure that the events conform to the plans. Planning is an intellectual process because it involves mental activity, and it is prescriptive in nature. That means that it will include all those processes which will make the management think. It will analyze, go through, understand your entire business environment and then develop the plans. Whereas controlling is evaluative in nature, wherein it will check that whatever the performance is there, whatever the decisions that have been made, they have been translated into the actions as per the desire. And that is probably why we say that planning and controlling are both forward looking as well as backward looking. Now we are going to study the most important topic of this particular chapter, that is the controlling process. The first step in controlling process is setting performance standards. Now these standards are the actual criteria against which the actual performance is going to be measured. They can be both qualitative or quantitative in nature, but whatever they may be, howsoever they are calculated, they have to be flexible enough to be modified should there be a requirement at a later stage. The next step is measurement of the actual performance. Now, while measuring the performance of any activity, you should keep in mind that whatever is being measured is objective and it should be done in a reliable manner. Various techniques can be used for observation, and this could be even in terms of personal observation or sample checking or performance reports, etc. And whatever the performance is being checked as well as the standards should be in the same units. Now this is again very important. Whenever we are talking about controlling as a process and you're measuring the actual performance, the units have to be same. For example, if you're trying to identify the time required to perform a particular activity, you cannot set the standard in minutes or in hours, and in actual report of controlling you say it is good or it is average. So they don't match. The units have to be, if it has been prescribed in time, then even it should be recorded in time. So that is why the units have to be same. The third step is comparing actual performance with the standards. Now while comparing these actual performance, you have to make sure that the deviation is properly checked, and of course you need to identify whether it is a positive deviation or is it a negative deviation. There are various techniques and methods in which you can calculate and identify the deviations that is being there. And also it is easier of course when the comparison is being done for quantitative purposes. Qualitatively, like I said, if you're using something like an analysis based on good or very good or excellent, now these are terminologies which are very subjective in nature. The idea of good and very good might be different for you as it is for me. So generally it is easier to specify or compare the actual performance whenever it is in quantitative nature. The fourth step is analyzing the deviations. Now in this particular step you have to determine the acceptable range of deviations. Many a times it is not possible even humanly or even when you're talking about machinery to be as perfect as possible. There is some range that should be acceptable in nature while we are controlling, or we are trying to control a particular performance. So again that acceptable deviation has to be kept in mind, and the management should attend to all those deviations which are very crucial to the overall outcome of the decisions that need to be made. So all those crucial aspects have to be taken care of on an urgent basis, and it is also important while we are conducting this controlling process to identify all these key areas. For this, management has come up with two particular techniques. One is the critical point control, or what we call as a CPC. Now what basically happens in this particular technique is that control is to focus on the key result areas, or what we also call as the KRAs. Now what are KRAs? KRAs are all those critical points that determine the success of an organization, and they will divide. Suppose there are a set of activities ranging from 1 to 10. The management has to identify all those KRAs, maybe point number 5, point number 7. So these are the key result areas which will overall determine the success of the organization, and anything that goes wrong in these particular KRAs can actually affect the overall performance of the management. The next technique used by management is management by exception, or MBE, or also called as the control by exception. Now this particular technique is based on the belief that trying to control everything may result in controlling nothing, and so that is what is the basic idea of this particular technique. Now what basically happens in this particular technique is only the significant deviations which go beyond the permissible limits should be brought to the notice of the management. Now if you understand, in critical point control we identify the key result areas. In this MBE, what we are trying to do is whatever the deviations that are there, whether it is positive deviation, negative deviation, so any kind of deviation that is happening, that means you have a standard and how much you're varying your performance from that actual standard. Now once you have identified that, and if it is beyond the permissible limit such that it is going to affect the performance of the management, then it should be brought to the notice of the top level management. Now whatever the deviations may be, the cause is quickly analyzed, and then corrective measures are taken. The last step of this cycle of controlling process is taking corrective action. Now no particular action is required when the deviation is within the permissible limits. When the deviations go beyond the permissible limits, then obviously it is brought to the notice of the management, and they try to take corrective actions, or they try to correct whatever the situation has been. And even if that also is not possible, sometimes there are certain deviations which are even beyond the control of the management, and at that particular time what happens, you revise and reconsider the standards that have been set. I hope with this you would be able to understand how controlling is a very essential function of management, and how it is able to bring back the entire functions of management. We go back to the planning stage, and that is how we call it as a process that keeps on repeating itself in any business organization.